When you watch a crime drama on TV, you probably think you have a pretty good handle on what assault means. But here's the thing. In New York State, the legal definition is probably way different than what you're thinking. So let's break down what the law actually says and why that show you love might have it all wrong.
So let's start with a really simple question. Imagine someone gets right up in your face, shouting, making threats. Is that assault here in New York? The answer might really surprise you.
So, what most of us believe, thanks to TV and movies, is that just causing fear is assault. But New York's law is incredibly specific about this. For an act to be legally considered assault, it almost always requires an actual physical injury. A threat all by itself? Well, that's a whole different story, and usually a different crime. Okay, so to really get why New York is so different, we have to dig into its unique approach. It all kicks off with something called the Unified Legal Definition. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of all the confusion. See, in a lot of other states, you've got two different crimes. You've got assault for the threat and battery for the physical act. New York just combines them. So when you hear the word assault in New York, it's almost always talking about the physical act of injuring someone. So for a prosecutor to actually charge someone with assault, they've got to prove three key things. First, that a physical injury happened, and we're talking about more than just a fleeting feeling of pain. Second, that the person had a culpable mental state, which is a legal way of saying they did it on purpose or recklessly or with a serious lack of care. And third, that they used physical force to cause that injury. All three have to be there. But here's the thing. Not all assaults are treated the same in the eyes of the law. They're broken down into 3 different degrees, and that's what determines if it's a misdemeanor or a really serious felony. Okay, this table really breaks it all down for us. At the bottom, you've got assault in the 3rd degree. Think of a punch in a bar fight. That's a misdemeanor, but things escalate fast. 2nd degree is when you cause a serious injury or you use a weapon. Now you're in felony territory with real prison time. And at the very top, 1st degree assault. That's when a deadly weapon is used with the intent to cause grave injury or even disfigurement. We're talking about a major felony that can put someone away for decades. All right, this brings us to the fun part, busting some common myths. Let's talk about what TV and movies just consistently get wrong about New York's assault laws. Okay, myth number 1, and it's a big one, that assault is just about making someone afraid. As we've seen, that's not how it works here. New York's law is all about physical harm. If someone threatens you but doesn't touch you, they haven't committed assault, though they might have committed a totally different crime, like menacing. Here's another one you see all the time, the idea that you need a weapon for it to be assault. Absolutely not true. A single punch that causes an injury is enough. The weapon doesn't create the charge, it just pours gasoline on the fire, elevating it to a much, much more serious felony.
And really, this all boils down to that one core difference we started with. In New York, there is no separate crime of battery. The single word assault does all the work, covering the physical act of causing harm. It's the one fundamental rule that explains everything else.
Okay, so that's the law on paper. But what does this look like out in the real world? Let's talk about the current context of assault in New York and how these charges are actually handled. Yeah, this isn't just some dusty law book stuff. Public concern over assault is really high right now, especially with all the reports of random attacks on city streets and in the subways. These incidents are a huge part of the ongoing conversation about crime and safety. And you can actually see this concern reflected in the numbers. Reported felony assaults have been on the rise in recent years. Now, experts can debate all day about why that is, but the trend itself is a big piece of the public safety puzzle. Of course, and this is crucial, being charged with a crime is not the same as being convicted. There are several common ways to defend against an assault charge. For instance, you can argue it was self-defense, or maybe you lacked any intent to cause harm. Proving that no actual physical injury happened is another big one. Every case is different. Whew, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil all of this down to the most important things you absolutely need to remember about New York assault law. Let's do a quick lightning round. Is assault just a threat? In New York, nope, you need physical injury. Is a weapon required? No, but it makes the charge way more serious. Can a simple fight count as assault? You bet, if someone gets injured. And are there different levels of severity? Yes, 3 degrees based on the harm, the intent, and whether a weapon was involved. So if you take away just one single thing from all of this, let it be this. In New York, the law is laser-focused on actual physical harm, not just the fear of it. That is the most important distinction, and it separates the reality of the law from what we all see in fiction. And that kind of leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you know this specific legal standard for assault here in New York, does it change how you see those stories about crime in the news? It's definitely something to think about.